What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today, and it's a banger. OpTic's making roster changes again. There's like Cold War Thieves situation going on. I'm gonna get to my part 2 of my vlog later this week. We have some other roster changes going on, but OpTic are dropping and picking up some players. Let's talk about it. Is Caesar staying? Is Skyz staying? Let's cover it all. Let's dive in. All right, so we got some news this morning. First off, an OpTic tweet here sending a thank you to Pred. Looks like, as I discussed a couple of weeks ago, and I got poo-pooed by my co-host saying, I don't know before this major, if by the end of major 2, they're just going to stick what they have with Caesar, Skyz and hope that the honeymoon works. I think there could be more changes. I think you got to reeval the roster. Well, that's exactly what's going on here. They sent a thank you to Pred, and it looks like Huke the Nuke is coming back in based on this official tweet from OpTic. So let's talk about this move. Why did Pred get dropped? Why is Kyler getting picked back up? And what is happening going forward with both Pred and with Ken? Because it looks like Caesar Skyz is staying on the team, although I don't know if I necessarily agree with that decision based on how he played at the Major 2 event. Now, there are 2 reasons why I think Pred could have gotten dropped. The first I don't think is likely, and the second I think is probably more likely. Option 1 is that there was more behind the scenes drama going on with this team. As what happened the first time that he got dropped this year, we just never gonna get any clarity on it. I don't think it's worth speculating, and from what I've heard, I don't think that's what's going on with the situation. I think what's most likely is scenario number 2, that, they really struggled to win maps, let alone series during stage 2, and his plays or lack thereof, or decision making, or lack of quality communication means that they want to go in a different route. That means that they can play with more teamwork, be on the same page, and ideally start to chip into the deficit that now exists between them and the top teams of LA Thieves and Atlanta FaZe. And I think AG Pred is someone who can definitely shoot straight, but I've been kind of critical of his decision making over the years. The thing with Pred is a lot of players feel the same way, but they really don't want to go on stream and say it, but they're happy to say it in back rooms and private rooms and DMs and whatever. They think that Pred is a talented player who sometimes fails to play with this team, kind of baits his team, sets up his team, and doesn't always make those type of plays for the win. And I think there's a lot of frustration from the player community that, with the right seasoning and learning, he kind of developed in that player. But right now, he was not that player on Seattle. And they kind of tried to play and kind of forced to play around him, and it worked. They won an event. And then OpTic kind of did the same last year, and obviously resulted in a couple of event wins. So this guy is talented enough to be able to do that. But in this title in particular, with how dumbed down it is, with how simple it is, with how much you got to play as a team, his type of play style is really difficult to play around. And that's why I think OpTic is going in a difficult direction. Obviously, we've seen Huke on this team already, and he was definitely dropping numbers, and he actually played pretty good. He was the only player that really shot back at Major 1. What he's going to need to work on in this squad is just making the right plays, not flipping spawns too much. Just kind of being more on point with the routes, with the pinches, so that he's not causing too much chaos on the map, and that Skyz and Dashy can play structured behind that, fill gaps, and then they can kind of start to really play a cohesive system. So in my mind, I actually think the Huke for Pred move kind of makes sense for the team, and I think it's probably the best move. I'm just not happy, and I don't think that keeping Skyz is the 100% correct play. Based on challengers went this weekend, a lot of the players in the OMID organization are going to end up in a couple of these roster changes. I'm talking RCs, I'm talking Fellow, I'm talking Ojani. So you could argue that maybe some of those players are better than Skyz. I just think for OpTic, I think just the easiest thing they can do. I think bringing in another player and making a 2-person change now is going to add a little bit more instability, and they probably want to see what they have with this squad now. And if they want to make more changes in the middle of the stage or after the stage, they can do so in the lead up to champs. Because as you can see here, they're not near the 100% top of this situation. They are very much in the mix right now with Rocker, Cloud9, Miami, and Boston trying to get the final 3 spots out of 5 teams for champs. And they're going to have to start getting some momentum here because we don't have any online minors coming up. We've gone from 5 matches online, from 7 matches online stage to 5 now, so there are less online points available. You got to get it going and start to improve on this 500 record, or they may not make champs, or they might also get in the 7th or 8th seed, and the last thing you want to do is play these top FaZe Thief squads in winners round 1 at champs. All right, so what happens with the 2 players that are now not on the OpTic roster? Pred, I think there are a couple of potential opportunities. The squad wipe situations of LAG and Falcons are probably near the top of the list. Just kind of unsure what both teams are doing as far as 1 move, 2 moves, 3 moves. They're both pretty much not going to make champs unless they start winning events. But they still have EWC to play for, and there's still 2 majors coming up. So you can still make cash and win events. It's just going to be tough to make that champs quali. But he can factor into both and something that those two teams can build around for the future because, let's be honest, there's not much going on in the LEG other than Kismet. And then on the Falcon side, there's not much going on there really at all. Maybe Exnid's like the only player you can keep. And for what it's worth while I'm recording this video, there is an LEG rumor that Linz is getting benched and no Johnny is coming in. So we will see. Based on scrolling this, there's not much news about maybe some other changes on LEG, but they're starting the process there and we'll start to report more in their situation as more news comes out. The only other kind of maybe situation I could see for Pred is C9 kind of running back that chemistry with Sib and accuracy, but who will be getting dropped in that situation? Mac, he played pretty good at the Major 2 LAN event. And Tatch, I don't think Dylan played that bad either, but that would require a shuffling of roles, and maybe C9 don't want to do that because they're finally making process and looking good if they continue this to try and factor into and make champs with their roster. So I don't know if they're willing to kind of shuffle things around on that front. But outside of that, you know, there's Boston, there's Minnesota. I don't see those as great fits. So unfortunately for Pred, I don't think his options are that great. I don't think Ravens would bring him into the fold either. So I'm really curious what he's going to do and what team he ends up on going forward. The final player I want to talk about is Kenny. The rumor overnight was that he would be going to Carolina Royal Ravens. The rumor this morning is maybe that move is not happening now due to a number of factors. So I don't know where Ken goes. I think for him, like, I don't think he wants to go in a bottom team, a rebuild situation. So I think he could be more patient. I'll kind of keep reporting on this, but at the moment, I won't be surprised if he's sitting out this stage to kind of figure out what he wants to do next in this grand scheme of things in the CDL. There are obviously some other roster news coming on, but we'll cover those in later videos. Just to kind of summarize my OpTic thoughts, they're really kind of lost in the mud here. I don't think they have a lot of great moves. I think they have a very poor hand based on the regression going on with their team from some of their players, and it just not meshing and not the right title. And they've got to think about their future because Thieves right now, I don't think are making a future change. I don't think FaZe are either. I don't think Shotzi's going anywhere, so that fantasy people can put away. But I think they need to figure out long-term how to build a championship roster around Shotzi, because unfortunately for OpTic, the next 6 months are really key because it can go one of two ways. They find the right next up players, these mid-pack players on quality squads that are OpTic level talent, and they get back to competing on Sundays. Or OpTic fall victim to what we've seen a lot of teams do. Their window ends, they just fall back in that mid-pack of 4, 6, top 8 teams. And I don't know if that's good enough for OpTic. They were there a long time ago, back in the day, before the OpTic dynasty. Since then, they've been championship or bust. And unfortunately, that could be coming to an end unless they can surround Shotzi with the right type of players. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of this video. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.